generation.
Okay, so I hope this works. You can hear me. My official name is Janota, but I'm Videate, and I'm not. Sorry? I don't know. Oh, I don't think so.
It's not muted, but it's just not loud enough. Or we can just try the second one.
Okay. It's the same. I don't know. Is it better? Yes. Okay. I will speak more loudly. Okay. Okay. So, I'm obviously not only the proud organizer of this conference, almost from its very beginning, but also I'm a developer. And for past 20 years, I worked in different projects and companies, mostly concerning somehow XSLT and XML, and also web front-end and back-end development, just to give a brief overview of my areas of interest. And for past 2 years, I've been working for Videate company, and it brought me quite new experiences in the area I haven't worked for before. And and I would like to just share with you what we are working on. This talk should have been originally given by Dave Gullo, who is the founder of the company, but he was unable to come, unfortunately, so he asked me to step in and present this talk. Okay, so motivation. Producing software videos is time-consuming, people-intensive, and cost-prohibitive. Videate automates this creation of software videos, making it fast and easy to produce up-to-date content anytime it is needed. So this business talk basically means that it's really hard to produce software videos, and then we are doing our best to make it easy. Okay, so what I would briefly define what we mean by software videos. These are those, let's say, documentation or tutorial or educational videos when you simply show how to accomplish your task or some task in your environment, system, in your software. So simply from adding a user up to configuring virtual server or whatever you can imagine. And why it's hard to do? Well, producing of 1 minute of video on the professional level takes on average 4 hours of work. That's some survey of Adobe, and also it's confirmed by the people who ask us for help or who are our customers. There are not only technical issues, I mean that you really have to physically perform the task you want to show, like clicking into your software, scrolling and moving mouse and so on, and record all this. But you also have to record your audio, and your voice should sound somewhat enthusiastic, but not too much. There should be no background noises like dogs barking or police siren howling or your wife asking where you gonna come for lunch and so on. And if you succeed in all this and you record it successfully, then there is a post-processing because you want your video to look fancy, so you would like to put some animated logo of your company at the beginning or at the end, which we call bumper videos, or you can have closed captioning, subtitles, some effects like highlighting, call-outs, whatever. So, and if you succeed, if you successfully pass this really hard and painful way, then your software company comes with update, and UX guys say that it would be really nice to move the main menu to the right and not call it a main menu, but things you can select from, and you're done. You have to start anew or somehow edit what you already done, which is quite hard, editing videos and changing things in it. And this multiplies when you use localized versions. I mean, different language areas, different languages. And it's the problem of scale, because we are not talking about a few videos, but about tens to hundreds videos, which our customers usually have. So, and the scale is such a big problem with all this that most companies simply resign to use videos as a documentation to begin with, or simply especially when it goes for localizations. So that's our motivation, and we are looking for the way how to automatically generate these videos easily and maintainable and changeable way. So how we imagine that? This is our ideal workflow. So here we start here in this part, and we simply take any existing documents the company already has, which we can use, I mean, or documentation, tutorials, or whatever, and we upload them to our system, and then we digest them. It's if you want, it's an ETL process where we simply extract information which is vital for us or usable for video generating. Then we store it here in some internal format, which I will talk about in a bit. And once this is done, we pass this internal document to our rendering engine, and this rendering engine connects to the environment in question and simply starts to read that internal document and perform these tasks which are described there, which is this one. And once it successfully happens, you simply render this activity, then you store the final video, you post it to the world, your customers are happy, you have more money, and we probably, hopefully, will have more work to do for a couple more years. So let's look at this process in detail, and I will start with this part because it's mostly my home where I live. So I start with the internal format we use to store the video information for further rendering. We call it Spiel.XML with an S-P-I-E-L with the German pronunciation, and surprisingly it's XML. Why XML? I should say use markup stupid, but the reasons for that were that it turned out that most of our customers somehow use XML one way or another. Either it's purely XML like DITA, XHTML, or some proprietary XML, or they use XML-based formats like DocX or Google Docs or whatever. So it was a logical decision to use XML, and the second thing is that technical precision of XML, because we are using not only the content, but a lot of metadata around, and we really need to be precise. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, we tried some loose formats like Markdown, but I wouldn't say that it was a disaster, but it simply did not work. So we use XML. This XML is fairly simple because it follows the logic of the video or the storyboard. So it's a linear format where simply there are a sequence of spoken blocks and actions to be performed. So say this and do this, like the video goes. So if I show you a very simple example of XML, of our Spiel.XML, you can see that I was cheating a bit, I was not precise a bit. It is, in a sense, a linear sequence, but there are some exceptions. These speak blocks, which we call PI paragraphs, are in fact only wrappers, and we use elements from different namespace, SSML, which is speech synthesis markup language, which is a project for text to speech, because if we generate this video automatically, we also need to generate the audio automatically, and we want to use the full power of this project or this protocol. As you can see down here, for example, the first task was to learn the English voices, the proper German pronunciation of Spiel, not to say Spiel, but Spiel. And the second thing where I was not that precise is that we allow our elements inside of SSML speak. So it's not entirely linear, but almost. And so typically these are our commands, mostly void tags, even if you've got a few pair tags like title or, for example, slide, if you want to put slide in the middle of your video. And the format is pretty simple. The name of the element defines the action, and there is a bunch of attributes which are simply parameterize what should be done. So obviously, this should click somewhere, and where that's defined by the selector, which is either XPath or CSS selector, or simply simplified textual selector, which looks for the first occurrence of the string in the page you are working with. So this is it, and we of course got a schema for this, which imports the SSML schema and extends the imported schema to allow our tags within the SSML speak elements, so we can really validate that what you've seen in the previous step. And yeah, so schema is pretty simple. There's not much to it. So this is just an example. The click element is defined, and you can see that except of selector, it also allows modifier if you want to perform alt click, shift click, or control click for whatever reason. Or you can, instead of selector, use precise coordinates where to move your mouse and where to click. So, and in fact, schema is for the central thing for two reasons. No, our element can be used in Spiel or can be digested into Spiel under its defined schema, so we validate any upload process and simply ignore all invalid elements, and we also guard that there are proper attributes, and required attributes have values, and we emit some warnings and so on just before the rendering process begins. So it's easy to to speed up the process simply. And on the opposite side, the rendering engine functionality is strongly related to schema, which I will also show in a bit. So this moves us to the two parts of the pipeline, which is before the Spiel XML and after. So ingest process and the rendering engine. So regarding why do we ingest already existing documents, why don't we simply have an editor? It's, I would say, purely business or philosophical decision. We simply do not force to use people to change their editors or their habits or format they use. And yeah, they can work what they already got. And more to it, we would like to bring the Videate functionality to the environment they work with. So we are working on Google Doc plugin and Oxygen plugin, which is quite interesting. And it should work the way that simply if you edit some data document in the Oxygen, there is a button when you click it, it opens the preview window and start to show you the video, which is based on the document. And if the guys from Oxygen are interested in this, we are interested in to talk to them. Okay, so that's it. So if I take some very simple data document, you can see that there is obviously that what can be used as a audio for the video you want to show, but where are these actions? They are not there, obviously, and we tried some automatized ways how to guess what to do. For example, you got click, video, link, so it's obvious that they want to click something, and if you analyze the page you're working with and find something which is called videos, it's possible that you won't click that one. In theory, this worked. In reality, that did not work because the human language is so loose that it was simply impossible to somehow manage it. And yeah, there are 10 ways how to say that you want to select something, and if you cover all these, you find 11th one in the next document. So, and our customers tended to say, but I want to click directly here. So we decided to allow the explicit annotation of these documents. But it turned out that to mix this XML with our markup, even in different namespace, simply won't work, because mostly these documents were already designed or to use to be used in different, like for printed or online purposes, and the engines mostly are confused when they see different namespaces and so on. So we were looking for an unobtrusive annotation of existing client documents, and obviously, the easiest way are XML comments or processing instructions or word comments or whatever. So we minimize these interactions I was talking about. So how does the document look like after we annotate it? It looks like this. Processing instructions are ideal because they are not only syntactically, but let's say also semantically correct, and we can use our own processing instructions, which are easy to filter, and simply value of these are our markup. So it's fairly easy, a bit challenge for the ingester because it has to simply parse all this what's inside. And when I was talking about pair tags, we also allow that you put opening element in one processing instruction and closing somewhere else, which means that we have to also restore the tree to create a valid XML. And it's obvious why we need schema, because people can put anything there, and we simply have to validate it and tell them that they are wrong or that made something wrong, that they mistyped something or whatever. So that's, and anything which is not defined schema is simply ignored. So this is it. Yeah, for people who don't have any documents, we also offer something easier than to write directly XML. And it's a simplified storyboard format written in docx or Google Docs, which somehow follows that what's in Spiel. So it looks basically like a table. In the first column, you've got a narrative, and the second column, you've got those actions to perform, and simply reference them. Why to reference them? Because you can have something like this, and it means that you have multiple narrative columns and you fill only one, and that's the plugin we are working on. It already works, and when you simply put into second column the language code and you click on it, the Google Translator translates it, and you can have as multiple columns with languages as you want, and you simply reference these actions, which is passed correctly, and you can then have this as a base for the true translation or just to correct it, and you can generate from this one document like three XMLs in different languages, so you can, it's a single source for multiple localized videos. Okay, so this is it regarding image formats, and now the true heart of the system, which is our rendering engine, which takes this Spiel XML and turns it into the videos. So it's a browser automation similar to browser-based testing, but of course it extends or changes the functionality because we need feature specific for video production. That's one thing. And second thing, that on contrary to just browser-based testing, not only the result is important, but also the entire process, because it has to be visual, because we are recording it, and so it has to mimic the human behavior, because our ultimate goal is to pass Turing test. So it means if you've got several minutes video to generate it, that it looks as it was made by a human being. So we have to mimic our gestures, our mouse moves, clicking, and also we also supply sounds for clicking and so on, for typing and so on. So this all does the engine. From the point of view of interpretation of Spiel, it's also interesting because basically each our Spiel element acts like a command for our engine. So it means that each element simply defines a function call, the name of the element defines which function to call, and the attributes are simply parameters for that function call. So you can in general terms, think about Spiel XML as an assembly language which is compiled by the engine into the final video. Yeah, just few closing remarks for this. Really, the engine rules everything. It means that when the commands are properly run and everything, we get the videos with everything, with clicking, typing, callouts, effects. And if something is missing, then we simply define it. It's the workflow that you define the feature in the engine. And once it's defined in the engine, we shape how the XML element should look like. We put the definition into schema, and from that very moment, when you digest any document and put that element there, if it's in schema, it appears in the Spiel, and the engine can interpret it. So this was, for example, an example of those bumper videos. It turned out that people want tiny videos at the beginning, at the end, to show something, and so we simply, they upload these videos into our system, and we've got a video tag where you specify, simply reference this asset, and it automatically put it there, and the engine waits until the video is done and then starts with another action. So the proper timing is the key thing, and yeah, and that's the true trick, that we know how to do it properly, that it looks, that is smooth, and that no post-production is required. Okay, demos. Yeah, that's from our internal thing. I think I would not show you the live system because I would be teasing the demo gods too much. So I'll show you, just to give you feeling, the sample from with the permission of our clients, how the result looks like. So hopefully it will work also with sound. I don't know. Yeah. So it's a bit commercial. Sorry for that. And here.
In this task, you log into Workspace OneUEM console and set up a PIN. Open Chrome and log into the Workspace OneUEM console URL assigned to you. Type your username. Type your password.
So, no human.
Optional. To adjust the console actions that require the security PIN, navigate to Groups and Settings, All Settings, System, Security, Restricted Actions.
So no human being touched that, and no animal was harmed during this process. So.
If you create a role with Create Role privilege, this role is visible to all the users in error. From the dashboard drop-down, select Administration. Go to Access Control, select Roles, and click Create.
And the true beauty of this is that you can wait until something loads, and then you continue recording, so there are no delays, like when you're waiting, and so on. So.
Description. Type a description for the role. Select the privileges that you want to assign to the role.
Yeah.
Click the right arrow button to add the selected privileges to the role. Click Create. From the Roles page that appears, select the new role from the list to view the details.
Yeah, the last one is showing the highlights, which are the red boxes around the elements. Ecumenical company wanted everything to be highlighted when they use it. So.
While you are still on the journal transactions form with the needed batch listed, click the link in the batch number column to open the batch.
Yeah. That's it. So it's automatically done during the process.
On the menu,
so
under corrections, click reverse.
Simply by highlight command.
The system generates and opens a reversing batch. In the summary area, notice that the number of the original batch is shown in the original batch number box. The reversing entry checkbox is selected, and the batch's status is on hold.
Yeah.
On the form toolbar, click remove hold.
So okay, I think
On the form
I can. No.
toolbar, click release to release the batch.
yeah, hopefully we're done. So basically, how this solves the problem I stated at the beginning is obvious. Once you succeed in properly annotate your document, so it renders the video, when something changes in your system, you simply adjust the input document, you re-upload it, and the video should be retaken practically in the real time, what it takes when it plays. And when there are more changes, you simply have to adjust more in the document, but still it's the faster, and how to solve the localization I've shown already. So that's all from the Videate project, and sorry. I don't want this one. Okay. This was the last one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It looks quite impressive. So, any questions from John?
I thought that was very cool, thank you. Less of a question, just more of a wish list item. I wonder if you could, integrate that with deepfake technology so that I could have Michael Kay, commentate all my videos.
Okay.
Any more questions, comments, or suggestions? Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this presentation as well. Just wondering how, I guess it's designed for tutorials and things like that.
Yeah.
Does it work with sort of real motion videos, and how, like if you're
No, this is at the moment it's purely tutorial documentation. It's like when you're clicking in your software. Yeah.
But I mean, like things like where you have to overlay things on the screen. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, there are some transition effects and things like that, and we even are able to log into some console and do some command line things and so on. So, and we are still extending. So whenever some feature or some requirement comes from other customers, we are looking for the way how to incorporate into it. So it's an open process. Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Another question here.
Personally, I hate videos because when you look for an answer using Google, you find a good video and I skip it because I just want a quick answer by reading. But maybe you could have the text also searchable by Google so that I find the information and maybe I can read then the text.
Yeah.
And then later I may decide to watch the video.
Yeah, that's actually I think that we are in the state of POC. There's annotating the video, like when it's playing, you can stop it and type some annotation into it. But yeah, that's also the idea. So there can be some workflow for editors, for reviewers, and so on. So yeah, there are a lot of possibilities still. Yeah.
So anyone else? Okay, so it seems that you're out of questions. Thank you very much again.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Kirsten has to change plans last minute, so she can be here in person, but if everything works well, she will be able to give her talk remotely. So just give us a minute to set up and connect everything.